Now my turn.
Why?
Hey.
Why are we recording so late?
Because, you know what's tomorrow? What's now already? October 1st! And we have still so many movies to watch. If you have any recommendations or anything to ask us to watch, a fun horror movie that you watched and you like and you want us to recap it, make sure that we never watched it before. If not, we would love to do that for you.
Yes, check with us on Yael Matt Recap, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, SoundCloud. If you don't have time to watch us, you don't want to see my cranky face, listen to us on SoundCloud. Thanks.
I'm gonna go to SoundCloud now.
So it works great that we're watching a movie about a podcast on the first episode since we got SoundCloud rocking. So this is the movie Tusk, written and directed by Kevin Smith. And it all started as a podcast, although we didn't really do the research about the movie.
I didn't know anything about the movie. I didn't know what we're gonna watch, and I can say that I really liked it though. It's really cool.
Yeah, but I think you liked it more after you learned a lot of the stuff about it.
Yeah.
I
liked it in the middle at some point. I was like, okay, that's a good joke that I like.
Yeah. You thought the movie was a joke?
Yes!
It was a silly...
It's still a joke.
Movie.
This movie is a joke. But I really like it. Yeah, it's not like that horror.
I mean, Kevin Smith, not known for directing horror movies.
Yeah.
Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy. It's a little bit more dramatic, but still pretty silly in moments. He's a comedian, comic book guy. He has a whole podcasting empire. Also, please pick us up for your Smodcast network.
Please. What is that? I'm new for podcasting. In Israel, by the way, it's really new. All the podcast thing. Started seeing now people that doing some podcasts. I know one person that does podcast in Israel.
So, you're standing with Israel when it comes to podcasting. Negligence. I get it. Alright, so this movie is called Tusk. It's a movie about two podcasters that watch videos online and comment on them. What a concept.
When it started, I was excited that Haley Joel Osment, the kid from, how do you say that?
Yeah,
The Sixth Sense. It's really hard for me to say that. Can you say that?
The Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. So,
yeah,
I love that movie. And also, he got so much weight on him.
Well, he was a boy in that movie.
It doesn't matter.
So he has gained
He was a skinny boy.
He has gained about 200 pounds, yes.
Yeah, to the, how do you say, the wide.
Yeah, he's an adult now. So, apparently the movie started out as an idea thrown around back and forth on a podcast number 259 of Kevin Smith's Smodcast. And it was shot in 15 days. It was a fun movie. I'm just gonna.
So when it started for me, I was like, there are a lot of very boring dialogues, especially in the beginning, that I was kind of confused. And I'm like, is this a horror movie? Is it going anywhere? Something is gonna happen. I was so bored at some moments, and
there are long talking things. I mean, I guess that's what Kevin Smith does, but there's a lot of long monologues, real heavy on Canadian seafaring culture. So just to bring up the plot to kind of in a nutshell, guys do a podcast called The Nazi Show. Or no, The Nazi Party. That's the joke. It sounds like The Nazi Party. And one of them does not travel, so the other one does all the traveling, gets the stories, describes it to the person, so he can not see it or something. So he goes up to, the character's name, the guy with the mustache.
It looks just like Ross Geller in high school.
Ross Geller is a Friends character.
Everyone knows Ross Geller.
Yeah, I don't think they know his last name.
Ross Geller? Oh my god, if
Okay.
you don't know Ross
If you keep
Geller,
saying
send me a
it,
message.
if you keep saying it,
They're
people
gonna
will
know.
know.
Yeah, thank you.
So Teddy and Wallace are the guys. Wallace is the main character, he has the mustache. Teddy is Haley Joel Osment. And so Wallace goes up to Canada to talk to this kid that was a star of a viral video. And he gets to his house and he sees his family having a funeral for him because he committed suicide because there was a really embarrassing video where he chops his leg off with a sword. So he doesn't want to waste all the airfare that he spent getting up there. So he goes to a bar hoping to run into an interesting Canadian person to interview so they would have an episode of the podcast to talk about. And he sees a note or
I was still confused in that moment.
a handwritten
What's
note
going on?
in the business card flyer section of the rock club bar he's in, saying that the person is looking for someone to work for them, to be an in-house caretaker, and in exchange he'll tell them stories of the sea and free room and board and all that stuff. So he decides to call the number, explains that he's not looking for free room and board, just looking for stories. He's kind of a storyteller, he's a podcaster. So he goes to meet this guy in the middle of the night in
Do you hear
Canada.
my stomach?
I don't know if they could pick it up on the camera, but it was a fart. It was a fart.
No, it wasn't a fart.
So
My stomach just growled. Ooh, I used a new word.
growled is a new word.
It's, for me, I've never used that word before.
So Wallace goes in the middle of the night to a distant part of Canada. I know most of Canada is distant. Most of the Canadian population is within a few miles of the American border, but this takes place in Manitoba. He goes deeper in there. Comes to a big creepy gate. Strange 60-ish looking man in a wheelchair named Howard, who was kind of disconnected from society.
I was like disturbed when he introduced himself. The guy on the wheelchair, Howie, asked him like, "What are you doing? Are you a writer?" And then he was like, "No, I'm not a writer. I'm a podcaster." And I was like, "Your Majesty!" Like, since when podcaster became like, that's my job?
Well, I think that the character seemed to be a lot like
Full of
Mark
himself.
Maron from WTF. Mark Maron is very. It seemed like that was the gist of the character.
It was
basically
really annoying.
Used to
really
do comedy.
terrible, annoying person.
You know, they flashback. You learn a little bit more about him as the movie goes on. But he used to be a comedian. Then he did the podcast, which is a lot more successful than his comedy. He has a mustache, a girlfriend.
That looks so much better than him.
Yeah, so I
It's
think,
like in the moment that they showed his girlfriend, I was like, what? It doesn't make sense. Like, she's way too hot for him. Like, way too hot for him.
yeah,
She's pretty. She's cool.
she's cheating on him.
He's cheating on her.
What?
He's cheating on her.
With what? A guy in a mansion in Manitoba?
In that moment, no. But he said to Joel Osment that he wants to go alone because he wants to fuck.
I didn't remember that part.
What? That's all. That's the whole thing. And then there's the moment that she's crying to Haley Joel Osment, and she's telling him that she knows that he's a cheater, and he breaks her, and he makes her like her life like so much worse than she deserved. Oh my God! You want to watch the movie again? And
No, I don't.
Yeah, so he's cheating on her. He's a
But we
terrible
don't see it
person.
happen, so...
No, and I'm glad that I don't. I was really mad when she started to cry about it. I was like, she's so much better than him.
Okay.
She looks so much better. And
Back
it's
to the
like,
movie, who cares?
It's the movie.
It's not the movie.
That's the movie.
No, it's not about their relationship at all. It's
It
about
is.
him going to meet this guy, and then fucked up shit happens.
No.
Basically, the movie could have been a really cool episode of Tales from the Crypt, which is like a 30-minute long show. But instead it's an hour and 40 minutes because there's a lot of long talking parts.
Yeah, I wrote here to myself. I have a problem listening for a long time, like for a long time. I need distraction, but nothing is happening. Old man telling history. And I hate history.
Yeah.
It was like my least favorite subject in school.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the dialogue was cool, but it just wasn't feeling it for me. Kevin Smith smokes a lot of weed. He probably wrote it really high. And maybe it's more enjoyable if you're high. I don't recommend it either way. I certainly do not get high anymore, so I couldn't enjoy it as much as I perhaps would have if I watched it at a different time. So he talks about knowing Ernest Hemingway, hunting great white sharks. Tea is served. Talks more about the seafaring things. Wallace begins to get drowsy, and then he passes out. And then there's flashbacks. You learn more about him and his girlfriend's relationship, how he's changed since he's done the podcast, all this stuff.
Yeah, and then I wrote a question to you. Are you gonna change after all the success that we're gonna get from that video cast?
If I am only successful from a podcast that we do together,
So you're gonna change?
there's a problem. I don't know. Unless people are gonna get real. They're like, man, I love the way that he crankily recaps movies, and
not the way that I'm talking over you.
Yeah.
Which is so much more lovable.
Yeah. So there's post in the comments what you like better.
So you're gonna change or not?
My long sighs, or her not knowing what the O.J. Simpson trial is.
Yeah, I don't know that. Like I know now, but I didn't know.
You still don't really know.
Do you know what
How
happened?
many people was he at trial for murder for?
Do you know who Yitzhak Rabin is?
Yeah.
Okay. Zichrono livracha.
We're not doing a podcast in Israel.
I won. Like, okay.
So, Howard wakes up disoriented the next day in a wheelchair, and his leg is missing, and he's all fucked up on drugs. The guy tells him that a spider bit him, and he had to amputate it.
The doctor is around, but he can't come now.
And they're trying to eat dinner later. He can't make his arm move, and he still has a cell phone, so he calls his girlfriend desperately, leaves her a voicemail, leaves his buddy a voicemail. They're together.
There's a moment that in the dinner that he's sitting and he cannot move his arms. I don't understand why, because a scene later he could to call on the phone. But in the dinner time he couldn't move his arms.
The drugs maybe were still on. I don't know.
Anyway, Howard. He was mad at him that he's screaming, so he just got up from his wheelchair, walked over him, and slapped him. I was like, that's very convenient.
Sometimes wheelchairs are just mobile furniture.
Yeah, it's like my scooter.
You're not disabled.
I have an electric scooter.
That's what people think when they see you in the scooter.
Yeah,
They're like, look at that disabled girl.
Yeah, I don't know. I go to supermarkets with him, and then my mom asked me like, do they let you go with your scooter? And I'm like, yeah, what do you think like people on wheelchair do? Which is like, you're not on a wheelchair. I'm like, no, but that's helps me to get from place to place.
So, more talking, more Canadian folk tales of his life, talking about how he met a walrus. After he knocks Wallace, no coincidence that it sounds like walrus, down, he calls him Mr. Walrus. And then you start seeing, I guess what I would describe as anatomy, human anatomy, and walrus anatomy in old textbook style.
I have something else before we go there.
Yeah.
That he's calling to his girlfriend and she's not like answering, so he's leaving a message and he says, I don't want to die. I don't want to die in Canada. That's a weird sentence. I was like, I want to die in Paris. So much more romantic.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a funny sentence to say. Like, I don't want to die in Boston. Like, you can say I don't want to die. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
So
That's it. That's my comment.
you know, I'm gonna die in Canada. I don't know. I got nothing against dying in Canada. Maybe not Manitoba. So he gets knocked out again after leaving the voicemail. Canadian folktale legends, montage of body parts. You see bloody instruments in the ground, or in the dishes used for surgery.
Also, when he called his friends, I was like, why the hell didn't he call the police? So that's like already the point that I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
but what's he got to do? Call the Manitoba police? He just calls the numbers in his phone. I don't know.
Yeah, call some of the police.
There are
and
plot
tell them.
holes in a movie that was made in 15
What do you
days.
think that your friends from California would do when you're stuck in Canada with a serial crazy psychopath?
Fly there and meet with
And
the local
arrive in like
police.
few days from now. See you like. Never mind. No spoilers yet.
Oh, they're coming.
Yeah.
So they Howard cuts off his other leg, sews his arm to his body, chains him up to near a tank of water. Wallace is groaning and agonizing, and now when his friends have gone to the police, the authority gets cut back and forth, and then the guy says, a quote I wrote down, "How I've missed you, Mr. Walrus," and he is in full walrus mode.
It was so funny.
He has tusks. He is sewn up with mutilated his own body parts. Perhaps other additional body parts were added to it.
Yeah, they're like faces.
Because he wasn't that big. Yeah, he's a big bag of skin.
Yeah, but they did it so good that you cannot not laughing. I couldn't stop laughing every time they showed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny, but it was kind of disgusting in some ways. It was like, oh my god, it's terrible. Like, to see him, he can't speak, it's just like drooling.
Yeah,
Drooling?
drooling. Yeah, apparently like they cut his tongue out or ripped his tongue out.
Yeah, but it's
added
like
tusks.
ridiculous and it's funny and creepy in the same time. So I like that feeling that weird animal made me like feel.
Yes.
It was something else. It wasn't bad. It wasn't that I saw it and I was like, oh my god, that's terrible. It was like there was something in it and I started to guess that something.
And there's still a lot more movie left at this point. I think
Yeah.
we had to pause it to go get popcorn or use the bathroom or something. And I was like, 40 minutes is still remaining.
Yeah, I was like, huh?
And he's already a walrus and his friends haven't come yet. And obviously there's going to be some sort of a rescue scene or something. But then it kind of takes on a turn. Like Wallace is... Occasionally they cut back to him progressing as a walrus and doing other walrus-related things. There's a beach ball nearby, although you never see him playing with it. And then this kind of turns into more of the Kevin Smith comedy aspect. I mean, it has the undertones of they're looking for their friend who has been kidnapped and possibly being murdered by now. But they go to the very polite Canadian police and, they go a little back and forth. Comedy, Canadian colloquialisms. Guy says, take off. It's a good Canadian phrase. And then they're dropping some hints like, well, there was a guy who came in asking if we found some bodies lately, and he's researching something. His name is Guy Lapointe. He's a Quebecois detective, and he's talking about hunting devil in the flesh.
About Lapointe.
Yes.
So I wrote to myself, the French guy sounds really stupid. Too much, like he was too much. Like the character was kind of too much. And very bad accent. And it was like a very long conversation that I was really like part of it because I was so confused. I was like, what's going on here? This is not, it doesn't feel real, that French extremely weird accent. And then there was a moment that he's taking a patty of like a burger that he got
He
in
had
a diner.
a slider, which is a small burger.
And he just started to smash it on the table to make it like thinner.
A regular sized burger.
And that was the moment that I understood that I liked the movie, because it's a really good joke. That was the moment that I was like, okay, something is really brilliant here, and it's not stupid, and it's not going anywhere. I really like that movie in that point.
Because he squished a slider?
Yeah, because that was the point that I was like, okay, it is a joke. It is something else. It's not like a horror movie, and it's not like, I don't know, it was a really good joke though. Not a
What do
joke.
you mean it's a really good joke?
The movie, like, they made it so well. The actors are good. The film is like, but the story is so weird that I watched it and I was like, it can't be real. It can't be like people that did such a good job with everything else got like that weird script, and like, I don't know. So I was kind of like, okay, I understand there's something more than that. I was still mad at like the very long dialogues in the beginning, but from here,
But the
like,
burger squishing brought it all together.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So they.
I don't know, like there are so like more things in that conversation that I was like, okay, it is like the guy and the I don't know, it was like a few things. He's like, come to me, like they told him like, yo, I want to tell you something, and he keeps drinking, like he drank like from a straw, like alcohol, and I was like, okay, it is something.
He brings his own booze to a fast food restaurant.
Anyway,
stuff,
at the end of
tells
the
them a
movie,
story.
I checked the cast, and that's
The credits.
that's one of my favorite actors of all time, Mr. Johnny Depp. But
she didn't like him.
what?
You thought his accent was stupid. It was over.
Yeah, I still think that the accent was extremely too weird. It was like I will do the accent right now like this. It's obviously not a real accent. What? These are my notes. What do you want? Go do another podcast.
Your notes is an impression. Okay. Whatever. Johnny Depp, it's a fun surprise. He plays this crazy.
And I have to say that
the
there was a short scene that the mustache guy, Wallace, on his way up to the crazy guy, he stopped in a gas station and he asked the girls that work there. And in my mind, I was like, is that Johnny Depp's daughter? I follow her on Instagram. I love her. She's Chanel's model. She's amazing. She's cool. But I was like, no way that she's gonna, like, what would she do in that movie? And then the second time that they do that, I'm almost sure that they said it out loud, that they think that it's her. I doesn't remember if
I don't know her name.
Lily Rose Depp. She's amazing.
Okay.
Follow her.
So she's a convenience store clerk.
Yeah, but she played with her dad in a movie. It's cool. She's 18.
So one of Wallace's learning to be a walrus thing is he is forced to swim or he drowns, and Howard lays on him while singing and makes him eat a raw fish. And
it was disgusting.
Yeah. And they go back to the convenience store. They retrace his steps. Qua detective work is done, and then Howard basically says that he has to fight to the death with Mr. Tusk if he wants to live. But he evens things up, so he makes a walrus suit for himself that he can slide into without having to chop off his own legs and sew his arm to his body. And so they fight. They have a wrestling match, and during this time their friends are getting closer to finding the estate. They're making their way through the large house onto the property, and
all that time I was thinking, okay, so his friends are gonna find him, and then what? They're gonna transfer him back to person, or he's a walrus already.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it. I don't know. I don't know how Canadian plastic surgery how good they are, but I thought maybe they would shoot him to put him out of his misery because he's got no tongue.
And also,
you can't
his
even
girlfriend
podcast about it. Okay, if you're a walrus, you can still have a podcast to continue making money. But the not see party became the not speak party. So.
Yeah, but the thing is also that Ellie Joel Osment is cheating. No, Wallace's girlfriend is cheating on him with Ellie Joel Osment. So.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you could don't put all the blame on her. Haley Joel Osment is his best friend, so he's cheating.
Oh yeah,
on his
they're
best
both
friend.
cheating on him.
Yeah, so they're going behind his flippers in their relationship. So they come in and, bless his heart, the walrus with no legs and the arms sewed to his body is able to get the better of the man that made him a walrus, Howard. And he violently kills him with his tusks in a headbutt. And then his friends come in.
There was another scene that wasn't sure what's going on. They were swimming in the water, and then he's like, you have to be... So he just like pushed him down. And after that, he just went with a towel. Or not with a towel, with like, it was naked.
It was naked.
And it was like, did you just give him a blowjob? What happened there?
It's I think it's open to interpretation.
Okay, alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave him a blowjob.
An underwater blowjob.
From
yeah.
a worldless.
I mean, in a movie that there's lots of disturbing things, that is certainly extra disturbing in the fact that they made us have to think about it and not see it is maybe worse.
And I had another comment. Her hair, like Wall's girlfriend's hair, looks so good during all the movies. So if Kevin Smith is ever gonna listen to us, or that girl, or someone else, please tell us all, like, what do you use for your hair? It's incredible. I was jealous.
Walrus blubber. Perhaps. And then it's a year later and you're thinking, what's going to happen? Wallace lives in like some home.
It's like an old zoo, like
yeah.
It used to be a zoo, but no one's there. Beside the walrus.
He just sits in a little shed, like a sad zoo animal. His friends bring a newspaper with them, and there's just a dead fish wrapped in it, and they throw it out, and that gets him out.
And then he eats it, and he's crying.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment in the movie that his girlfriend is saying he can't cry.
He's not emotional.
Yeah. Like you, baby.
Emotion is what separates us from the animals. And then he's an animal. And he's crying.
Maybe one day when you're gonna be a walrus, you're gonna have some emotions.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm gonna get my tools and I'll make you some.
Get some
You look like a...
The mustache is very walrus-like. It does need to be trimmed. But that's Tusk.
My last comment was... No, my last two. One was like, what the fuck is happening? It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever watched. The next one was, is that movie a joke? And then, right after that I checked,
your next note is, should I mention things I already mentioned earlier in the podcast?
Go to bed, you're annoying, Mr. Grumpy. So then the credits came up and Kevin Smith's name came up and like, it is a joke. It started as a joke. It started as a prank.
The podcast. We didn't go back and listen to the episode of the podcast, but you can find it. There's a article on YouTube. We'll tweet it out too. But there was it has a clip from when they first talked about it, and it was based on something that happened in England, where a guy wrote this long personal ad seeking someone to come be the caretaker of their place, and it was a prank. It was a whole fake thing. So that kind of based it on that, and they kind of brainstormed it from there. And then they made a movie for 15 days and got Johnny
So
Depp to do it.
that's exactly what I thought during the movie, that it's a really good joke that someone did. Because only person with a lot of money and like and skills and knowledge about those movies, like things, can do something like that. Because the story is weird. It's not like you can say it's a brilliant story or something. It's a really weird story. The worldless thing is amazing, like the way that they did it. You can see that they know what they're doing, those people. And the actors are good, and just the story and what's happening is so weird. It's really weird. And I was like, okay, that's a really good thing. And when you have a lot of money and like the resources to do something like that, yeah, do that. I wish I had like, okay, let's shoot a weird movie in 15 days. But we have the best team, the best everything. So yeah, so that movie was good. I liked it.
Yeah, a lot of monologues, but
Yeah.
it was a good one. So go check it out. It's on
Yes.
Netflix. That's the
Oh
way
yeah.
to do it. That's
It
where to find it. All the movies that we talk about this month are either going to be on Netflix. There's like one or two on Hulu or Amazon. So look it up, rent it, or you can go to the one Blockbuster Video that's open in Bend, Oregon, and perhaps get it on DVD from them, and then return it within 3 days, or be assessed a $4 late fee. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks
or
for watching.
And if you're doing one or the other, and you want to do the other one, go to the YouTube page. Just search Yael Matt Recap. The link is in our Instagram. It's all the same, Yael Matt Recap. And on SoundCloud. Thanks very much. See you soon. Let us
See you
know
tomorrow.
what you think. See you tomorrow. Sleep well. Don't respond
Yes.
to any personal ads in Canada.
Yeah, don't go to people's houses if they ask you to be a warless.